It already goes without saying that Easter eggs and hidden details are what really get a certain type of movie fans' pulses racing. It's no longer good enough just to watch films on the surface level, and filmmakers are seemingly determined to hide secrets in their movies to reward that culture more now than ever before. As such, they're breeding a culture of freeze framing that, combined with the HD quality of home releases now, turns fans into detectives, ever vigilantly searching for the treasures hidden in their art. We now pore over movies like never before, and that means the level of detail in movies, from costumes to sex scenes to environmental details, or just flat out mess-ups and accidents, is also better than ever as well. So with all that in mind, I'm Will for What Culture, and here are the 12 most paused movie moments of 2019. 12. Stanley's Scar, It, Chapter 2. Just as with the first It remake, part of the pleasure of the sequel, which was still one of the better horror movies of the year, despite some flaws, was re-watching it to find the hidden details. This time, the director and his art team took great pleasure in hiding Pennywise, and even just his name, in the background of shots. He was always there, even when he was supposedly dormant, and was even watching over the grown-up losers away from Derry. The best of the hidden It's comes early in the movie as we see the tragedy of Stanley's suicide. Marked by Pennywise more than any of the others, both physically and psychologically, thanks to an attack in the first movie, Stan's death was deeply heartbreaking but also inevitable, thanks to the It-shaped scar on his forehead, confirming he never got out of the monster's shadow. 11. Arthur's Diary, Joker. Joker is a particularly loaded movie, but because of Joaquin Phoenix's mesmerizing performance, it was all too easy to miss out on the subtleties and details in the background. Like the clocks being frozen at the same time, or Arkham's walls being painted the same color as Arthur's outfits, they all combine to mess with your perceptions of what exactly is real. More tangibly, there's also a Joker diary in there, in which Arthur plots his stand-up act. We get brief flashes of it, and the only way to enjoy his humor is to pause, which means being able to read things like the story of someone who died on the sidewalk with others walking right over him. It's the basis of his rant before he shoots and kills Murray. There's another great little spot too you won't notice unless you have hawk-like eyes or a lightning on the pause button. After Murray Franklin mentions super rats in a montage early on in the film, we see one of the humongous, awful creatures run by Arthur in a phone box. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment, but you'll catch it if you're quick enough. 10. Was that Andy Serkis? Long Shot. The Long Shot might be the most slept-on movie of the year. It was tragically overlooked at the box office and seems indicative of people just not coming out for comedies like they used to. It also has one of the weirdest performances in it of the year, which requires the pause button to even work out. Just as Matt Damon hid under prosthetics for Deadpool 2 last year, in 2019, Andy Serkis did what he did best, disguising himself under heavy makeup to play the evil media mogul Parker Wembley. It's so convincing that it's hard to immediately tell it's him, which is sort of why it's so amazing. 9. Darth Vader's Helmet, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker trailer. You hate to see spoilers in trailers, but it's an increasing part of movie marketing these days whether you care for it or not. It's also a trend that has inspired the use of double and triple bluff spoilers, which is something the Rise of Skywalker's trailers did. Leaning on the dynamic between Rey and Kylo Ren, the trailer showed us a shot of them seemingly teaming up to destroy something together. Quite what it meant to the story at that stage was unclear, but if you paused it, you saw the artifact was in fact Darth Vader's mangled helmet. The ramifications of that symbolism were absolutely massive, and it became a huge talking point online. 8. Boo's cameo, Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4 being a Pixar movie, it was always going to be full of Easter eggs, but the filmmakers appear to have taken the opportunity of the final Toy Story movie, we'll see about that, to cram in as many references to other movies as possible. The sequences in the fairground and antiques shop in particular are jam-packed with Easter eggs referencing early Pixar shorts, but the best apparent callback comes in the shape of one of Bonnie's new classmates. One of the girls seen in the background has a pink top and a distinctive haircut combining a prominent fringe and high pigtails. If it's not a grown-up Boo from Monsters Inc., it's her identical twin. 7. The Monster Credits, Godzilla King of the Monsters. There's a delightful trend of filmmakers leaving gags and Easter eggs in the end credits of movies that should be encouraged even more these days. It actually seems to be dying out, mostly because audiences are far more tuned into what comes after the credits to actually pay attention to them. But there are still little delights to find, as in this year's Bruising Godzilla sequel, which was uneven but a brilliant tribute to proper Toho monster movies with a modern spin. And when the trailers rolled, we all got a little affectionate nod to the monsters involved, as they're all delightfully credited as playing themselves. 6. The Sonic trailer. Back in April, the world was introduced to the first big screen iteration of beloved video game icon Sonic the Hedgehog. Even with the weight of lots of poor game to big screen adaptations, there was lots of enthusiasm to see what was coming, particularly with the Detective Pikachu movie showing what effects technology could achieve. And then the first trailer came out and Sonic looked like a cross between a small furry and the haunting cat's abominations that just stunk up the box office. And the teeth on him! It was almost impossible not to pause and drink in his awful, nightmarish majesty. God! It was horrible. 5. Cinderellas Castle, Aladdin. On the back of one of the worst marketing campaigns in Disney's recent past, Aladdin actually proved to be pretty great. Even Will Smith's genie was way better than the disaster he was unfairly declared ahead of release. And fundamentally, the film understood that it was a Disney film and needed the right blend of magic and paying respect to its past. This wasn't just a soulless CGI stuffed cash-in, it was a great, colourful treat, although admittedly not as good as the original. But to prove its Disney credentials, it also included a lovely little Easter egg hidden in the background. In the scene in which the genie explains the rules of wish-making, Magic Carpet can be seen in the background building a sandcastle, and if you look closely enough using the pause button, you can see it's actually Cinderella's castle. 4. The VHS pile, Climax. You might think that Climax would qualify for this list for altogether more sexy reasons, given the subject matter and that one particular dancer's scene, but there's more to it than just lots of people getting their rocks off. The director has spoken about how his film influences shaped the film's production, and as a tribute to some of the movies that formed the blocks for his own artistic building, he cleverly included them in plain sight. The movie starts with interviews with the troupe of dancers who form the heart of the story, which appear on a small TV surrounded on both sides by stacks of books and videos. The scene was a last-minute addition, and even more last-minute was the decision to use all of the director's favourite books and films that had in some way shaped the film's creation. It's a great little insight into the filmmaking process, and it's really worthwhile freezing to see what inspired the film. 3. The numbers, Us. There's a lot of hidden detail in Jordan Peele's excellent mind-bending Us, including the placement of books that seem to hint at the plot twist at the end. There's also a recurring motif of the number 11, which appears from the beginning of the movie when we see a vagrant sign referencing the Bible verse Jeremiah 11:11. Quote, "Behold, I shall bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape, and though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them." That's an early bad omen, and we see the number repeated throughout the movie, including very subtle symbols in the shape of the number. The final shots of the family escaping even shows they're in an ambulance numbered 1111. But the even better number reference, and the one most worthy of a pause, comes when a news report of the tethered stabbings is shown, on Channel 11, of course. The time shown is 2:37, as a reference to Stephen King's infamous room in The Shining. 2. Howard the Duck, Avengers End Game. When Avengers End Game came out, it finally answered some of the most pressing questions in MCU history, but it also posed some strange ones, mostly around some of the missing characters who didn't turn up. We seemingly didn't get to see Kraglin or Lady Sif or Selvig, and it felt a little unfair to leave them out. It actually turned out later that Kraglin did appear in the big battle scene, and he wasn't the only missing character in there worthy of a pause to see them. So too was Howard the Duck, who listened to the call for help and turned up to fight too, as one blink and you'll miss it shot proves. 1. The accidental cameo of Ryan Reynolds, 6 Underground. Social media can be a great thing for movies these days. The Rock's presence online is so monumental that he can be a one-man marketing army for all of his projects. And the failure of Charlie's Angels was partly down to them failing to weaponize social media presence in a key demographic. Unfortunately, Ryan Reynolds also proved this year that it can get in the way by accidentally getting in the background of his own movie while shooting something for his social media accounts. Pause at just the right moment in one action-heavy car chase, and you can see him casually leaning against the wall in the shot. Whoops. And there you have it, folks, the 12 most paused movie moments of 2019. Feel free to drop this video a like if you enjoyed it, and drop me a follow on Twitter at @uslydog. I'm Will for What Culture, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.